Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Red Devil Experience. My name is Eric. Hope everybody is doing well. Hope everybody is having a good Saturday so far. Premier League results are in quite favorably for us so far. And obviously, we have, the big match tomorrow. Carrick versus Arteta. Manchester United versus Arsenal. We're going to get into it. We're going to discuss the match. Score predictions, all the good stuff, how you think we should line up, how you think we may line up, and a little bit of transfer news as well. We got a Baleba story. Apparently the price has been set for Baleba, and it is way cheaper than I guess what we were sort of led to believe previously. So we're going to get into that as well. Hope everybody is doing good. As you can see, I am accompanied by my two guests. We got Carrick Jesus and we got Humpty Slot. So everybody laugh at Liverpool. Ha ha ha. Sucks for them. I just watched the ending of the match, as a couple of us were doing on our own, but we were talking about it in the Discord. And Lyle, shout out to Lyle, who may not be here yet, but I would expect him to come. Lyle literally called it. We have the receipts in the Discord. He literally said Bournemouth last minute winner. And we got last minute winner. And we said to trust the water, yeah? And so I need to spam that in the chat. Trust the water. Because the water is never wrong. The water is always right. And we are here. Brimo 2012 says Man United 2-1 win versus Arsenal. Well, we'll see. I hope so. I hope so, my friend. I got a bit of confidence. Mr. Reynoso is here. Axe was here early. Mr. Reynoso was the first one today. Mr. Reynoso wins the race, the battle. He was the first one in here. First with the comment. He beat Lucky. Which is very hard to do because Lucky likes to get in here very early. But Reynoso wins today. Reynoso won that battle. Reynoso says, Black Magic Lyle. He's done that a few times. I don't know. He might be doing some black magic. I might have to call him up for lottery numbers or something like that. Because he seems to get them. He seems to get it quite often, So, I don't know. If you need like a future reading or something, I don't know if he's got a crystal ball on him, but he seems to get sort of the future quite right a little bit more often than not. So, yeah. But I hope everybody is doing well. Reynoso also said drawing 4-4 to Bournemouth is only for the alphas. Well, yeah, not losing to Bournemouth is not for everybody, yeah? So, it is what it is. But let's sort of talk about the match, yeah? Let's waste no time. Let's talk about the match at hand, and then we could sort of freestyle as well, because it's Saturday. There isn't a crap ton of news. And, for those of you that have been here for, like, a while, you know me. I'm not the kind of guy that's gonna be like, Pep Guardiola Jr. and go into this giant, methodical, tactical breakdown. I like to keep football very simple. I think it's a simple game. So, we're not gonna be able to do 2 hours just on the match. Lyle, where is the treasure buried? They said. But yes, let's get into the match, okay? So let me pull up a little bit of these statistical sort of data. Nothing crazy statistically, but just a little bit of trends. Obviously, Arsenal. I do know off the top of my head, Arsenal unbeaten at home, so it is going to be a tough match, obviously. But you know what? I'm feeling quite confident, as I think we all pretty much are. That scares me a little bit, because we've been here before, where we sort of, really go for it, and the players have come out and let us down monumentally. And usually, they do tend to do well when we're not really favorites, when we don't really feel like we're favorites, or when we actually are underdogs. So the fan base has been given it. I've been given it. Please don't embarrass us, Manchester United players. Please don't embarrass us. I was talking shit to my Arsenal friend yesterday because, I was in we were in the party chat. Yeah, we're in the party chat. We were on Discord, and you know, he's in the background sort of talking to himself, and he's like, oh, Liverpool play Bournemouth tomorrow. He's like, come on, Bournemouth. And, you know, he's saying these things, talking, you know, he's counting the numbers. He's counting the points. He's trying to add it up. And I keep telling him, I'm like, why are you looking at Liverpool? I'm like, Liverpool are far away from you. Why do you care what Liverpool do? Liverpool should not matter to you. But small club, small mentality. I mean, what can you do? What can you do? But I told him. He's like, you know, he's like, United beat City last week. And then as soon as he said that, I said, and we're coming for you, motherfucker. He said, you're next. I told him, you're next. You are next. And he better be next. He better be next. Axe Lord is in the house. Who the F is that egghead? The bold fraud. You know who he is. The bold fraud. He is the bold fraud of all frauds. You want a real bald fraud? You know, they said we had a bald fraud once upon a time. No. I'm not going to get this right because I can't even see the camera right now, but wrong way. Always the wrong way. This guy, how do I do this? The mic's in the way, but you get the point. This guy, that guy, bald fraud. Okay? Bald fraud. Is it Erik ten Hag? No. Does it look like Erik ten Hag? Does that look like a Manchester United kit? Come on, Axe. Come on, Axe. Get with the program. Why would it be Erik ten Hag? You know, there's only one bald fraud. All right? There's only one true bald fraud here. But, anyway, we're getting a little bit sidetracked. All right, so, here are the streaks. I like to do the streaks. Yes? Sebastian is back with us. Sebastian, how you doing? Says evening again. Mate, evening to you, mate, brother. I always like to say brother, but you know what, you're English. I like to say mate too. I got English friends, you know. Sometimes I say mate, sometimes I say bro, sometimes I say broski, sometimes I say bruv. You know, it is what it is. I don't really care. Is it Guardiola? Bro, are you, Axe, are you fucking trolling me right now? Oh, you gotta be trolling me. I'm not even gonna tell you, because I think you gotta be trolling me. Somebody in the chat, please tell him. I don't want to tell him. You got to be trolling me, bro. You can't be serious right now. You got to be having fun. He said he's not trolling me. Oh my, you know what? I'll tell you at the end of the show. Bro, please use your brain a little bit. Think 2 + 2. Who just played? What just happened? Who's in charge? Who's a bald fraud? What did you miss? Not much. We just started. A little bit of shit talking. That's all you missed, Sebastian. A little bit of shit talking. But we're just getting started. So, I'm going to get into the Arsenal match. I like to do the streaks. I like to do head-to-head streaks as well. Okay? Arsenal, obviously, top of the league right now, as we all know. Okay? They got a 7-point gap. This is important because, actually, let me look at the table. So, well, it's not a 7-point gap right now, but they could go back to being a 7-point gap. If we beat them, it stays at a 4-point gap, which makes the Premier League more interesting. It makes the race more interesting. You know, Villa got to play Newcastle tomorrow, so that's going to be interesting as well. And obviously, we have a chance to go up another level now because of what Liverpool has just done, which is lose to Bournemouth. So we have a chance. If we win, we'll get 38. We'll jump Liverpool. We'll be 2 points ahead of them. And potentially, depending on what Chelsea do versus Crystal Palace, we could pull away a little bit from them as well. We could create a little bit more of a gap than a 1-point gap right now. And even the likes of, you know, somebody like Fulham who are in 7th and the rest of the table. You know, there's also Newcastle who's on 33 points. So they are only 2 points off of us, even though they are, you know, about 4 places down. That you know, from about 4th place to about 11th right now. It is still very, very tight there. Okay, it's only a couple points. It's only 2 to 3 points separating all those teams. So we do need to create, you know, a big gap there or a bigger gap. But I do like our chances so far. The way, listen, I know we haven't been great at times during this season. I know we've had some bad performances, some bad results and stuff. But if you do look at the league, right? Like, you know, we were sort of a bit disappointed we drew 4-4 to Bournemouth when we were at Old Trafford, okay? But when you look at the other teams, except for barring maybe just Arsenal, because they are at the top of the league, but even them, when you look at the other teams, like, you know, we might technically be a bit shit, but so is everybody else. And it seems like it's kind of staying that way so far. You know, it hasn't really changed. And we're on the back end of January. So, the slot, he says. He got it. Why the egghead should have put a slots machine. Listen, I don't know. I find these things on the internet, okay? Listen, if I make it, I'll tell you I make it. I don't make these things. I didn't make Carrick Jesus. I didn't make Humpty Dumpty slot, okay? I find these things on the internet. I think they're hilarious. I bring them into the show. He gets 6-7, 6-7. Sebastian says, actually, had a bet on Liverpool draw, but they still effed it up during the last kick of the game. For fuck's sake. Well, listen, at least you may have lost a bet, my friend, but at least you still won. You know why you won? Because Liverpool lost. So it's to me, I sometimes I do that myself, Sebastian, and I say, you know what? At the end of the day, it's still a bit of a win-win because you might lose the money, you might lose the bet, but at least you get to enjoy Liverpool losing. Okay, and also potentially we could leapfrog them now. So hopefully Manchester United can compound sort of your loss on your bet by winning tomorrow so that you'll say, listen, at least it was worth it in some sense. You know what I mean? He goes, yeah, I'm still happy. That's it. That's the spirit. I only watch our matches. Well, fair enough. But anyway, so back into the streaks. Okay. So Arsenal, here's the individual team streaks. Okay. There's not too much of significance. Sometimes there's a lot, sometimes there's not. Sometimes there's a lot less. But the ones that obviously stand out is Arsenal, no losses in 12, and they're playing home. So, this isn't going to be a pushover game. We're going to have to go out there and fight. We're going to have to bring our A game, and we're going to have to do it for 90 minutes. Make no mistakes. I know we're riding a bit of a high after the Manchester City win and the derby, but, make no mistake. We're going to have to go out there, battle. We're going to have to be warriors. We're going to have to show, we're going to have to be shithousery like we were against City. I want to see the players with the same attitude and the same mentality they had against City. I want to see us tackling the shit out of people. I want to see us pushing them around. I want to see us try and bully them. I want to see it for 90 minutes. Now, in Arsenal's 6 out of their last 8 matches, there have been at least 3 goals in the match. 7 out of the 9 last matches that Arsenal have played, both teams have scored. And 8 out of the 10 last matches that Manchester United have played, both teams have scored. So somebody predicted 2-1. Could very well be. Could be the other way around for us. They predicted 2-1 in our favor. Sometimes that's a bit of a lie, though. Those sort of streaks, those sort of statistics, sometimes they're a little bit of a lie. Because, I don't know, I tend to find and I tend to see, sometimes when it says both teams score and it looks like, oh, it's going to line up to be like that, it ends up being a game where both teams don't score and, there's about maybe a goal in it. Maybe a goal, maybe 2. So we'll see. I mean, I do think that the way we played versus City, the way we've started off playing under Carrick, I think that we should be getting goals in the match. And I think Arsenal, they're a bit weird. Sometimes they struggle in open play, and then other times they do decently well. So we got to kind of see what we're gonna get from Arsenal. And we got to see what we're going to get. It is one of these matches that you can kind of have a feeling of what you're going to get, but at the same time, I could also feel like I don't know what's going to happen. Now, head-to-head streaks, there's nothing really. Usually there's a lot, okay? But the way it's gone about, head-to-head streaks, so Man United versus Arsenal, in 6 of the last, I guess the last 6 meetings we've had, or 6 matches in a row, us specifically, have had no clean sheet against Arsenal. 6 matches in a row, they have managed to score on us. And then 5 out of the 5 last times that we have played Arsenal, it's been less than 3 goals in the game. So a little bit of, now I know there's different teams and stuff like that and different sort of managers, so it could be different. Those, I think, you could take them into account a little bit, but obviously things change. And now we have Carrick. They still have Arteta. They still have, a good amount of their players, but for our side, it's a bit different, so it could be quite different. Even these other streaks, both teams to score in the last 8 out of 10. It's a little bit out of the window right now because we do have Carrick. We're playing a different formation. We're playing, things are different. So, in all honesty, in all actuality, who knows what we're going to get? We could rock up there and we could beat them 3-0. We could lose 3-0. It's a bit all over the place. Alex says, bro, I'm getting old. Please tell me something encouraging. You're getting old. Well, I would ask you how old you are, but I feel like you don't want to tell us your age. Because I think I would start with that. But listen, it's a part of life, brother. Just stay as fit as you can. Take care of yourself as best as possible. And, life is short, but you can make it as long as you can by doing what you got to do. You know what I mean? Just take care of yourself. Listen, I'm the opposite. Everybody always tells me, my friends always joke with me, and a lot of them are younger than me. Some of them by 2 years, some of them by 4, some of them by 6, and some of them by, almost 10 years. And they always try to joke around me, and they say that I'm an unk, or that I am, an old bastard or something like that. And I always tell them, yeah, but I'm still better than you. I'm like, I'm old. I'm like, I'm better than you, I'm old, and you go home, when we go out, you go home at 12, I'm out till 3. Who's old? What are you going to do when you get to my age? You're going to be in a nursing home by the time you're 30. You're going to be in a nursing home by the time you're 30. You're 22 years old, and you can't hang out till 2 o'clock in the morning when we go out on a Saturday or something like that. What are you going to do when you get to my age? We're going to be pushing you around in a wheelchair. But, form-wise, okay? And here, just to give you a little bit of the scores, all right? So, obviously, when we played them back in August, in the first match of the season, we lost at home 1-0, okay? If you go back to the previous season, we played at home, we drew them 1-1. If you go back to the FA Cup round, obviously that magical win that we had when we drew 1-1, and then we beat them. We had a red card, and we beat them on penalties to advance to the FA Cup, which is then we ultimately went on to go win the FA Cup. And in that same season, when we went to go play at the Emirates, we lost 2-0. So I don't know the exact record. Define old. Think it's more of a mindset. I am mid-30s, and most of the younger ones pass out before me, man. And that's what I'm saying. Don't let society label who's old, man. And in fact, actually, I mean, if you're in your 30s, which I am, I'm 31. People are living to at least 80s now. So you're still technically a baby, okay? Don't play into that. Anyway, what's your genuine prediction for the game? My genuine prediction for the game, it's tough. I'm going to be honest. Listen, when I feel like I know things or I have a very strong opinion, I will obviously tell you. I don't know. Part of me feels like we can go there, rock up, and we're going to beat them. But there's this element of, I really just don't know what we're going to get. I just don't know what we're going to get. Because it's only one match, it's hard for me to judge. But I will say that I will say this very much. I think that we should probably field the same team. I think Carrick should field the same exact squad, the same exact lineup. Don't change it. Let it roll. Continue going. Play the same exact players in the same exact positions. Play with the same sort of tactics, the same, obviously formation, the same way it played. Exactly the same. I would almost copy and paste it, literally. Maybe some minor tactical adjustments because obviously Arsenal is a bit different than City. They're not exactly the same, but I think we should roll it over. I think Mbeumo should start where he started. I think everybody should be, where they started. Now, one positive that we did get is that Mazawari has traveled with the squad. He will be in the squad. It's a little bit interesting because Carrick did have a little bit of comments on Diogo Dalot. Did praise him a little bit, but did, say that, he had a little bit of sort of a couple hiccups in the match as well. Does Mazwari come in for Dalot? Hard to say. I haven't had, for me personally, we haven't had enough time with Michael Carrick that I can sort of read what he's going to do at his time in Manchester United. I need to see, more situations, more matches. So, I do kind of feel like at this moment, though, and maybe it's a bias because, as I just explained, I think he should go with the same exact team. I think he'll go with the same exact team. I think that's probably the correct move to do. No Maza on right back then instead of Dalot. Well, you can do that change, but I think because I think he just came back. He just played a bunch of football. I don't know how much of the training he's done. Maybe he needs a little bit of recovery. He played a lot of football. He played to the final. Those are extra matches. And listen, Dalot, even though he did have some hiccups and, he did have some positives, though, like, he was on a yellow and I never really worried about him getting a red. And I think he handled that situation well. And he had some good moments in there as well. I think, why change the winning team? Why even sort of risk it? Maybe one guy wouldn't destroy the whole thing, but why even do that? Go with Dalot. Play the team as it was. Okay, we started off great. Let it continue rolling. Let's build some momentum with it. So low morale from AFCON due to the final could be as well, and maybe he just needs to come back. Listen, I mean, he's come back. There's a new guy in charge. We're playing a bit differently. Dalot has obviously been with the team training since Carrick made the change. He already played one match in. So maybe, just keep that sort of aspect rolling. You know what I mean? There shouldn't be, I would go with that. I don't think, like, Dalot is going to be the be-all and end-all of, like, if we're going to lose or win. Unless he shows up and has, like, an absolutely horrible game, which sometimes he tends to, but sometimes he doesn't. So I think, listen, like I say for all the players, it's another test. It's another challenge. Show us what you're worth. Prove to us and prove to others. I think it's an opportunity. He's got haters. He's got doubters. There's a lot of people out there that don't like Dalot, that they say he's shit and that he's horrible. I think he's just, too inconsistent, but I think he's shown some good levels of ability at times. He just hasn't been able to keep it rolling. So I think for him, it would be another opportunity to sort of, every player's got to prove that you got to stay here. You know what I mean? So I think for him, you rock up to the Emirates, people doubt you, people don't like you, people don't think you're good enough, well, put in a good performance, sort of make your statement, stand your ground a little bit, say, no, I actually do belong here, and roll with that. And Sebastian says, yeah, you're right, he did improve lately. Listen, the thing is, like, and I always say this, like, I think Dalot, I've always said this, I don't say he's like world class. I also don't buy into the thing that where people say he is like the worst player we've ever seen, because that's how some people speak about him. Like, he is like the absolutely worst right back. If you look at his time, he does have periods where he goes into very good form, and then he has periods where he is out of form and he plays quite horribly. It's a bit inconsistent. He needs to find the consistency, but what I always do give him credit for is I do think he has a good mentality. I think he has a good attitude, even his work rate. And I think he carries himself in a certain way as a professional. I think those things go, a certain distance when you're talking about a team, when you're talking about football, when you're talking about an aspect of a player. And so I don't think it's all bad for him. And I think he needs to do what he's got to do. Now, a little bit, I guess, more in depth, Arsenal's sort of scouting report. Listen, Arsenal, sometimes they flip between like a 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1. They defend in highly compact, sort of a 4-4-2 that protects the center and forces you wide before swarming. So it's going to be interesting to see if we can, if they do that. But they're home, so I expect them to control the match. I don't expect us to have majority possession. I expect it to be similar. Even though we were home, I expect it to be similar against City. I expect them to dominate the ball. I expect us to play sort of on the counter. And that could play into our hands, because I think if we tried to play toe-to-toe with them, in terms of if we tried to possess the ball, and we tried to break them down when they are very tough, and listen, they are a tough defensive team. If we try to break them down when they are in their positions, when they are, when they're disciplined in their positioning on the pitch and not giving us space, we may struggle, because we've done that before, and we've done it through sort of two managers. Okay, it's happened between Amorim, it's happened between Ten Hag, and even, you could say, even periods under Ali, it's happened as well. So I think the fact that Arsenal are home, the fact that Arsenal is expected to dominate the possession, and that they should dominate the possession, I think could be a major positive for us, in that we can play counterattack. And if we can play counterattack and we can hit them on the break, and we can be like how we were against City, play it quick, cut through them, don't dilly-dally on the ball, and execute properly. Somebody's making a through run, give them the ball, send it, and make sure it's accurate. Find their feet, find the space, put it in the proper lane. I think that could massively help us. So we do obviously have to watch out for, Stoke City FC set pieces, because, they are sort of the kings of the dead ball. They have about, I think, 17 of their 40 goals is from set pieces. 24 set piece goals in all competitions. So we do got to watch out for that. I think Harry Maguire will be there to sort of help us out. And then we got Lisandro as well, who was quite good in the air anyway. So, we do just have to watch out from the corners from Saliba and Gabriel. And anybody else, really. But, if I was Carrick, I'd probably be saying, again, on the set pieces, no cheap set pieces. Don't give away silly corners. Don't give away silly fouls in sort of a good area. We're going to need somebody, I don't know, Casemiro, somebody's going to have to figure out how to negate Declan Rice as well, okay? Because Declan Rice is a major player for them. He does both sides of the game very excellently. But the reason why it's Sunday school is because I think Carrick, well, I say Carrick was the better midfield player for sure than Mikel Arteta. And I do feel like that there is a big chance that, Carrick is going to bring Mikel Arteta to school on Sunday. So I would love beating them with a set piece goal. 93rd minute. I'll paint the picture for you, Sebastian. 4 minutes injury time. 95th minute and 14 seconds, Harry Maguire headed goal from a set piece to win the game. We've got a minute over stoppage time, and Maguire scored from a set piece with his head. Slabby. We'll put it in there. Or maybe Casemiro, because he's quite good from the, getting found from set pieces as well. That would be, pure cinema, I guess they say nowadays. But sort of on the, even the defensive corner structure, I think we probably got to do a little bit of a hybrid for that, I don't think we should, either man mark, but I don't like the zonal too much. I'm not really a big fan of zonal, because I feel like zonal leaves a lot of room for error to somebody not pick up a person, or not pick up a person, but just somebody tends to get free on zonal. I don't really like zonal too much. I think if you're gonna go with a little bit of zonal marking on the set pieces, I think maybe you have to do a little bit of a hybrid. Couple players do zonal, couple players pick up the big targets, like Gabriel, like Saliba, and maybe like Declan Rice. Pick those guys up, have somebody on them at all times. That's their man. That's their guy. Wherever they go, you go. Don't let them out of your sight. The rest do zonal, and everybody attack the ball. And even if you're bashing into your own teammate, attack the ball. Don't sit there and think that somebody else is going to sort of, don't think somebody else is going to do the job. That's the one thing. We can't be a little bit complacent. Sometimes I worry about this team. One of the messages I would hammer home to all the players on a constant basis is don't expect somebody else to do the job. Go take the responsibility. Everybody take the even if it's not necessarily supposed to be your guy, your job. Sometimes when I watch these matches, like that goal that I just watched when Liverpool were playing, okay, that header, the first goal, all right, that came because nobody picked that guy up. If you watch the match, nobody picked him up. And there was a guy that was there. There was a Bournemouth player that was there. Didn't follow him in. There was a centre back that was doing his job as centre back. He was in the position he was supposed to be, but nobody went to him, allowed him to get the header, and they scored. So don't wait for somebody to do the job. If it's not supposed to be your job, if it's supposed to be somebody else, you got to take care of it in that instant. You got to take care of it in that moment. Adjust after, okay? If you're supposed to be marking somebody, but you see some shit that's, somebody's potentially open, you might have to leave that guy and go take care of that imminent danger of a threat. Maybe also, obviously Saka is one of their biggest players. And depending on who plays on the left, it might be Martinelli, it might be Trossard, but, obviously Saka is the biggest threat from the wing side. Maybe we double that right-hand side. If we can, if we negate Saka, you need somebody else. They're going to need somebody else to step up. And listen, Martinelli is very sort of cold hot. Yeah. And, Trossard, he's a good player. I do rate him, but sometimes he starts, he doesn't have really the impact. He comes off the bench. He has a bigger impact. So, I'd rather leave up the chances to them trying to do something than obviously Saka, because we all know that Saka is a good player. So, man marking is good when it's done properly, says Sebastian. Yeah, and they just got to be locked in on it. They need to understand clear instructions, like this is your guy. Sort of like what Park Ji-sung did to Pirlo. When we had when Fergie was here and we went to go play in the Champions League, and Fergie told them, listen, that motherfucker, you don't let him breathe. Your job, don't worry about the play. Don't worry about anything. Your job is to just destroy him. Okay? Which he did excellently, by the way. He completely negated one of the greatest midfielders of all time in Andrea Pirlo. So it's got to be like that. That's sort of the messaging I would give to the players. Everybody has sort of a responsibility. Don't be complacent. Lock them the fuck down. Don't turn off for a second. Don't think somebody else is going to bail you out. Although they do need to look out for, their teammates, because it is football, and, somebody will get caught somewhere, and you got to make sure you're covering your brother. You got to make sure you're covering your teammate, if need be. And you got to take that risk on it as well. The main issue is zonal defending is the difference in height between players and set pieces. It's more random. Yeah, and I don't like it because when you go zonal and they know that you're doing zonal, they tend to start a bit deeper. And if you don't have the height, in my opinion, if you don't have the aerial presence, I always just feel like it's a bit more dangerous when they sort of get that running start and they have space to be able to move and go meet the ball. For me, like if I'm on the pitch and I'm playing, I kind of want to be free. I kind of want to be able to, start from a position and run to where the ball is going, and then be able to jump freely and sort of meet the ball freely. So that's why I don't really like that. I think we should make the space as tight as possible. We should, we shouldn't give them any sort of advantage on that. Dorgu might try to defend a Haaland header. Yeah, like and that's and that's a good point as well. When you do zonal, like anything can sort of happen where like somebody might appear into the box where you don't really want that mismatch. You don't want Dorgu versus Haaland. I'll take Martinez versus Haaland. I'll take Maguire versus Haaland. But you don't necessarily want Dorgu, or you don't want, like, for example, you don't want Ahmad, okay? You don't want Ahmad trying to, win a aerial duel versus Saliba, okay? You want your bigger, taller, better aerial players on these bigger, taller, better aerial players on the opposition. Park was a very disciplined player. Herrera did some great games, man marking, some great midfielders as well, like Hazard, etc. Yep. The Glazers fucked Herrera dirty. Yeah, as they do, Axe. They not just Herrera, many players, and our whole club. But maybe out of possession, mid block first, press on the triggers. I think we didn't, we weren't really pressing like how we were pressing under Amorim, but I think we did press at the appropriate times. And when we did press at the appropriate times, we pressed excellently. Yeah, so I think a little bit more like that. We need to be selective. I don't think we should be running around trying to press them at all times. We can't be laying down either. We can't be too defensive. But I think that was one aspect that the team and Carrick got right in that match as well. We didn't press Manchester City full 90 minutes, but when we did decide to press, we pressed quite excellently, and it worked out well. We were catching them out in certain positions and areas, and it led to some good chances as well. So we do need to do that. We don't beat Arsenal by having the ball. We need to beat Arsenal by exposing the space, by exposing, when they do push up. Listen, they're going to play high, especially when they get the ball, especially when they're in possession. They're going to be in our half. They're going to be high on the line. We're going to have to beat them. Quick transitions. Absolutely. We conceded some because of Ahmad's height on the second post. That's my only thing that I never... Listen, I always said, like, as wing back, I thought he played it quite well, considering that he's not a defensive player. He's an attacker. And I think, as far as defensive duties, tracking back, doing that part of the game, he always somehow managed to either, get, even if he got beat, he would always recover. He'd manage to get a foot onto the ball or, just stop the attack. His one weakness, his ultra weakness, was always the ball in the air. Yeah. And we did concede a couple because, he's playing right wing back, ball comes to the back post. It goes over his head, or, he's not positioned correctly, or he doesn't have, like, the aerial ability. That was always his one weakness in that area. But, I always liked that he would track back quite well. He did it for the team. He did it because he understood that it was important for the team, and he did it quite well. For a winger, an attacking winger, he did that job well. So I always liked him there. It was sort of rare, but it did happen a couple times. So, but how Carrick is probably going to line up, or how it should look like, is probably like, best bet is probably a 4-2-3-1. That I guess defends in, I guess, maybe a 4-4-2 or a 4-4-1-1 or even a 4-5-1 to that matter. But yeah, I would go Delo again. Carry that on. Maguire, Martinez, Shaw, Casemiro, Meno, of course, Ahmad, Bruno, Dorgu, and then Mbeumo. So the same team. We need two midfielders who can survive pressure and protect the midfield. I think Cass, obviously, having the game he had, even Meno having the game he had. I think for what we got right now in terms of midfield options, I think that's probably our best pairing that we got, especially if Meno does what Meno did last game. He played the position quite well. He understood, go forward when you can and get involved there. But also you need to control the middle, and also you have defensive responsibilities as well. And you need to, you're playing with another guy there. And you have to have that understanding that, yeah, Cass is good at defense, okay? And he's a world-class player. He's done it, at the highest level for the longest time. But he is a bit older, and, his legs are a little bit, questionable at times, okay? So you're the young guy, you're the young gun, you're the one that has more legs. You might need to help him out a little bit, all right? As long as they have that balance, as long as he has that understanding, as long as he remembers that when he's on the pitch, I think that central of midfield balances out quite well, So we need that for sure. And we need work rate, but we need wide work rate as well. Control Arsenal's right side. Stop the building up from becoming constant set pieces. That's another thing. Like, we can't stay too much under pressure at times because they're going to try and bombard us, okay? And if we're sitting back too much and we're sort of defending for our lives and they're getting a bunch of, like I mentioned with the set pieces, if they're getting a bunch of corners out of it, it's more dangerous for us. The more corners they could get, the more dangerous it is against us. Hopefully, we don't concede any set pieces against them, And you need a good runner up top, which is why I'm going with Mbeumo, because we need to be quick. We need to transition well. And I like Sesko, and I think Sesko has a good future. And I think Sesko, will become, a top-tier striker for us in due time. But I think this is one of these matches, just like the last match, I was a bit like, I feel bad that he wasn't starting. I feel bad that he didn't come on, but ultimately it was the right call. And I think, I think it's going to have to be, at least to start the match, the right call. Go with Mbeumo again. Go with that direction. If the match ends up playing out a different way and maybe we need something different, then maybe, it'll be Sesko for Sesko's time to come on. And I think Cunha has to come off the bench again because that's just how it was. And we played the way we played with him not starting. So, which I think I like as well, because the way we've gone about this now with the formation change, it sort of is, and the fact that we've gotten all these players back, it's sort of added a little bit of better depth in certain positions. We do have Mount as well. Don't forget about Mount. So, there's a little bit more depth in certain positions. We're obviously still without Xerxes, and we're still without Mateus de Ligt, but everybody else we got. So, we'll have Yora, we'll have Heaven. Maybe Shea Lacey will pop up on the bench again. Because maybe we need an extra winger as well. So, no Mazawari over Delo. Is he back? Mazawari is back. He's back. He is back. But I just, for what I explained, Delo has been part of the change already. And, Maz has played a lot of games for AFCON. And, that ending, I'll be blunt. That ending to that AFCON game was a bit of a shit show. And, I would just go with sort of consistency. I would just keep the ball rolling. We played with Delo. We won with Delo, So I don't see, I kind of just say, it ain't really broke, don't really fix it, right? And, we'll see how it goes. If Delo's having a shit game or something like that, well, then sub him out. Put Maz on. Fuck it. And again, I don't think one man will sort of destroy us. I don't really think that Delo by himself is going to be the ultimate downfall. I think, I always look at it in a team perspective. Is everybody doing their job? And, even if Delo had some hiccups in the Manchester City game, well, the rest of our team was on point. So it didn't really matter, did it? You know what I mean? And City, you could maybe argue with her a bit shit. So, I don't know why, says Sebastian, but I feel Sesko will start tomorrow, but Carrick is more of an old school guy and don't think he will change a winning team. Well, yeah, I mean, listen, who knows? Again, we're sort of getting used to Carrick, right? And sort of the decisions he's going to make. It's always a little bit tricky. Listen, it's the same. Like when Ten Hag came in, it's hard to read because you can look at what they did at other teams or whatever, but obviously, when you're at United, it's going to be different. So it's a little bit of an unknown. You know, for all I know, when we get the lineups tomorrow, Sesko could be starting. And, you know, I'll be maybe a little bit surprised because he didn't start him against City. And I'm just trying to put, I guess, kind of 2 and 2 together. But we don't have much to go off of. So it is sort of you know, I think as Forrest Gump once said, it's, you know, it is like a box of chocolates. We don't really know what we're going to get. Access to start Sesko. Well, maybe tactically, maybe it is better. Maybe we need a taller, bigger guy. But I don't feel like maybe we're going to be putting in a shit ton of crosses. I do feel like we should probably play the same way we played against City. You know, they obviously Pep and Arteta, they have their history. This style is a bit similar. They do play possession in a similar way. They have different players, and they are two different guys anyway at the end of the day. But that, for me, I don't know. I just keep feeling like it's about the fact that they're going to dominate the ball. It's the fact that they are going to play the possession. It's the fact that they are good at moving the ball around and passing it. So I do feel like we have to do basically what we did against City. We're going to have to do it against Arsenal. You know. And if that's the case, then I think we do need somebody like Mbeumo up top to be. We need ultra pace. We need quickness. We need speed. We need to hit them as fast as we can. Sesko got a lot of qualities, but he seems the right guy that needs a father figure of a manager. Well, yeah, and listen, again, for somebody like Sesko, like, you know, these players, I always tend to do sort of like the Sir Alex Ferguson adoption sort of rule in that, you know, he's sort of on the younger side, right? He's not like a striker. He's not like 27 in his prime. You know, he's on the younger side. And he's come from the Bundesliga. And he's come from the level of the team that he was at to, you know, Manchester United, who is obviously a much bigger entity with a lot more scrutiny and a lot more demand. So, you know, the first season, I always tend to give them a little bit of leeway. I understand that, you know, you're coming to a different country. You know, there's a lot of expectations on you. And, you know, it might not go so swimmingly. There's going to be sort of a lot of growing difficulties, but he does have qualities to his game. We need to develop that. And also, I think, you know what, like I've been saying, and a couple of us have been saying, you know, we need sort of a second striker. We don't really have one right now in terms of like somebody that is just a striker. But I also think it's sort of a good move that, you know, we can maybe put Mbeumo there. Maybe we can put Cunha there. And not do to Sesko what we did to Rasmus, where if they are sort of struggling or, you know, we need them to grow a little bit, it's not like a constant barrage of like you're drowning, and we're not really giving them any option of like, you know, a life vest or a life support to just, you know, grow in the background a little bit, because sometimes you need to grow in the background a little bit. Okay, like pressure makes diamonds, sure, but sometimes you need a little bit of the pressure eased off of you so you can get your shit together, get your head together, focus on what's important and developing your abilities better, and then you get on the pitch and you make shit happen. So I thought that was a bit of a slight positive as well, because he did score 2 goals when Fletcher was here. You know, we played, and that was positive. But, you know, there's been matches where it wasn't really working for him. So, but yes, a striker does need a lot of confidence. That is just typical. Access Saliba. I think he wrote saliva. Maybe on purpose, maybe by accident. And Gabriel are huge. We will need a strong striker. Fair enough. I think you could probably look at it 2 ways. I don't think that's necessarily wrong in any way. I think that's valid, and you can make that argument for Sesko. But also, I think you could say, well, what if we try and outrun them? You know, what if we try and outrun them? I mean, they're not the fastest. They're not the slowest either, but they're not the fastest. I guess it's speed over strength, or strength over speed is the ultimate question. We'll find out, and we'll see how it goes. So, Renosa says, yeah, my question stems from two major mistakes he made that City game. The obvious near red card and the sideways pass near our box that led to the Haaland chance that Licha blocked. And listen, I get it. I understand. It's those are valid. And listen, I watched the match. I was there, and there was a couple instances where I said, Delo, what the fuck are you doing? You know what I mean? I think I think he also did rectify himself a little bit in terms of like, listen, when you're on the pitch, not always is everything going to go your way. And it's your responsibility. If you fuck up, if you make a mistake, the next interaction you got, make a good one. You know what I mean? And I do feel like he did do that, to the very least. Like, he did have a couple fuck ups. And, I was sitting there looking at the TV saying, what the fuck is he doing? But then there was also other interactions where I said, that's exactly what you need to do. That's how you respond. And I like everybody to be tested. So, I would go with it again. And it's another big match. And it's another big, sort of test. Prove yourself. Ultimately, I don't want to shy away from any of these things. When we were in the FA Cup, I was telling people, and I said, listen, I don't want an easy road. I don't want to play a shit team to get by and to get into the next round. We need to be, even if it comes to the detriment of us, we need to play the hardest possible matches, the hardest possible teams, because one, I think it's a good learning experience, and I think it makes us tougher. And we're not in a situation where, we can try and conserve. Okay? We're not in a situation where we say we know what kind of machine we are, and let's get a couple rounds because we're playing so much football. Let's get a couple of easy rounds so we could kind of cruise, field a weaker team and stuff like that. We need to play the hardest possible situations, and they need to be tested, and then they need to answer. They need to answer of when the going gets tough and when shit's hard. Are you a person that we can ultimately, at the end of the day, you might not be perfect, but can we ultimately rely on you going forward? So I would like to see it. I want to see it. I want to see him start. I want to see what he gives us. If he fails, it's not a very good look for him, and it's obviously negative. And, I think that goes into the balance. I sort of look at it on a chalkboard. It's like points, and it's like that will go into this sort of the scoreboard of, that's another negative for Delo. And another argument for, maybe why he shouldn't be a starter, or maybe why he shouldn't be at this football club. Ultimately, I would like him to score for him to stay here, because I just want everybody to do good. I don't have really favorites in the team. I don't really have players that I want them to overly succeed, and then there's other players in the team where I'm like, yeah, I don't really like your face, or I don't really like your voice, or I don't really like, I guess your sort of aura or whatever it is that these other people seem to judge players on. Because there's always this weirdness in the fan base. Not all the fans, but there's this, there's a little bit of this weirdness. I don't know how old these people are, because it's the internet and shit like that. I don't know if they're kids. I don't know if they're 15, but there's always this weirdness of like, some players are quite favored well more than other players, almost to a detriment of, they hate some of our players in terms of like, they don't care. They don't even want to see them succeed. They want them to continue to fail so they could see the back of them out of the football club. And I'm just like, why? If they can find themselves and they can prove themselves to be good, well, that's good. That's one less player we got to replace. That's one player that we can continue to, count on. And I don't want people to fail. I want them to do well. So, and Buemo is strong too. He is. But Sesko better on headers. Well, yes. But I guess it depends how we're going to go about it. Are we going to try and put crosses into the box, or are we going to try and, hit them on the counter, find a lot of space, maybe go through the center, maybe not put a shit ton of crosses. Obviously, you still have to mix it up. It's not like we can't put zero. But yeah, with those two aerial presences, and I would say even three, because I mean, listen, you have Saliba, you have Gabriel, and you have Declan Rice. To me, those are like the three biggest guys. You know what I mean? Um, it's going to be quite tough. I think shoulder to shoulder, I think Mbeumo could maybe hold his own, with the ball on the ground. But I think aerially, against Saliba, against Gabriel, and maybe even against Declan Rice, you're talking about it's sort of a 3v1 there. Because, I mean, Dorgu, no, and Diallo, definitely not. And even Bruno Fernandes, definitely not. So the only one we would maybe be able to get up there is maybe if Casemiro finds himself in there, he might be able to do something aerially. So it depends on how you're going to set it up. What's your plan of action? Are you going to go for crosses? Are you going to try and put some balls in the air? If that's your plan, if that's where you feel like you can sort of get some sort of an advantage, then maybe you have to go with Sesko. But if you're saying, nah, that shit is fucked, then you probably have to go a different route. And then you go with Mbeumo and you try and create in sort of a different way. Don't put the ball in the air too much. Bro, we were eliminated from all cup competitions. We had a baffling baboon of a head coach. They couldn't overcome. Okay, relax, Axe. All right, we don't care about that anymore. All right, it's over. He's not the manager. Nobody gives a shit. And the other one that we got eliminated from, he wasn't even in charge. So. I missed you telling me how smart I am from my last comment. Well, you're just gonna have to play back, bro. Yeah, maybe, we go about it. I think, obviously, you have to wait for the match to unfold. But listen, if we're under threat a lot, okay? If we're under threat a lot, I think this is where I give the players most of the responsibility. They need to feel out the game. They need to make calls on the pitch. And end periods of the game, maybe you do have to slow it down a little bit. Okay, maybe you have to, take some tactical fouls. Maybe do a little bit of longer restarts. At periods of the game, at moments of the game, you have to feel the game out. You have to read the game out while you're on the pitch. You have to make sort of the executive decisions, the executive calls. So a little bit of the mixture. If they're attacking us, we get the ball, try and hit them as fast as possible, I would say. But if we're under a lot of threat, maybe just try and take the sting out a little bit so we can get a little bit more of a foothold back in. Kill a little bit of their momentum, kill a little bit of their confidence, frustrate them more, get in their heads, frustrate the shit out of them. So, also, I think we have to do whatever we can, try and cut out the crosses as much as possible from their end. I think they're going to try and cross the ball a lot. They'll have Victor Gyökeres most likely. We need to try and cut out the crosses as much as possible so that it doesn't work for them. And we force them inside, and then we lock the inside up as tight as possible. Which I think we did well against City as well. Like, they did try to go to the wings a lot. They tried to go to the byline and cut it in. And they didn't. They weren't ultimately very successful. There was like one, maybe two chances total that came out of that looked very dangerous or was very dangerous, but ultimately we did very well in that aspect. So access TDS. He has ADS, Amorim derangement syndrome. I don't think Amorim was the problem following those interviews from the players. He said the truth. They hated it. Yeah, I mean, listen, I think there was multiple different things. that was wrong with that situation, and ultimately, it spans from the people running the football club. So that's why I never really blamed him for a lot of things, because, yeah, he's gonna make mistakes. Every manager makes mistakes. Shit's gonna be fucked up. But ultimately, I think the way the whole thing was set up, if you weren't gonna do what was necessary to do for that guy to do what he wanted to do, then you shouldn't have hired him. You know what I mean? So I think it goes on them. Ultimately. Now, just real quick, sort of crossing over, because I think there was a little bit of news. And there was a Baleba update that I promised to give you guys. So, Baleba update. Where is the Baleba update that I had? It was here. It was somewhere. Where is my Baleba update? Sometimes I feel like they delete shit on me or something. Okay. So one of the Baleba updates is that we got this update earlier in the morning, in the day. Lucky is back. This is the update that we got. So Brighton are expected to cash in on Carlos Baleba in June, with the price likely over £60 million, potentially around £75 million. So it's not 100, it's not 120 like I think they once asked for. But likely over 60 million. I mean, I like when they use these words, because likely over 60 million, but then they tell you potentially around 75 million. I mean, what's the point of telling us likely over 60 million? Just tell us, just say around 75 million. Like, what is the actual point of that? But listen, I think we'll see. You know what I mean? I think we'll see how it goes about. I think the fact that, listen, I think we have a bit of an upper hand on this sort of transfer, okay? Because they're in a bit of a losing position, Brighton, in terms of that he clearly, obviously wants to go, I don't think he's like, it's not like he's not going to show up for training or anything like that. I don't think he's doing anything like that, but there's no hope of him basically signing a new contract. The years are ticking down. The more you sort of hold on to him and refuse to let him go, which is what he wants to do, the less time you'll have on the contract, which in theory means that the transfer price should drop as time goes on. So they sort of have to make a decision, and they can't really sit there and say 120 million, 100 million, because if nobody really pulls that trigger, which nobody seems really interested in doing that, well, all they're going to do is price themselves out of, a sale. And if we get to the summer and they said we want 120 million, everybody's like, yeah, we're not doing that. And he stays there another year. Well, he's still going to want to leave. He's probably be more pissed about it anyway, because he'll be like, well, what the fuck? Like, be reasonable. They're not being reasonable, and he's not going to sign a new contract. So all it will be another 6 months or another year off of the contract. So, and they'll lose more money. So I don't think they're necessarily in such a great position of strength. And then for us, obviously, he seems like, again, I've said this a few times, but he's like Cunha, he's like Mbeumo. Like, he wants to come to United. That's what's been reported. So much so to the fact that he doesn't even care if we're in Europe or not. He still wants to come to United, which plays very nicely for us. And if we could get him for 60 million, 65, 70 million, that's still around the price. And I think that's fine. It's, that's what we've been basically paying for players. And I think 60, 65, 70 million for a Premier League player, how old is he? 21, 22, 23 years of age, whatever it is. I think that's, in today's time, I think that's, a standard price. I think that's a good price. We're not breaking the bank. And, if you want to look at it as well, like, well, they wanted 100, they wanted 120 million. Well, we just saved some money to maybe potentially get a second guy, or, use that funds for a different position as well. So, he was quite good in AFCON. Sebastian says, great show, mate. Need to go. See ya, guys. Online soon. See ya. We're not going to do a watch along for tomorrow. I haven't done one in a little bit, but I promise they will return at some point. But we're not going to do a watch along tomorrow. And but we will be live for the Red Devil recap. So after the match is over, we'll obviously be live to discuss the match, how it unfolded, what we think, give our thoughts and opinions. So as soon as the match is over, make sure you're there. Lauren says 65 million plus add-ons seems the standard United price. I think it's a fair. I think in general, when you look at football for the inflation and how much money teams have nowadays, and the way sort of the footballing world has gone, I think 60 million is sort of 65 million is sort of the new standard price. I think once you start going up, you're going into sort of a premium territory. Once upon a time, 100 million was absolutely preposterous and like not even possible, not even like, plausible. But there has been a few of those. There has been a few 80 millions and stuff like that. So, the way I look at it is like 60 million around there is just sort of the standard average today. And then, once you go up to like 80, 85 million, that's a little bit of the more premium price. And I'm sure at some point, I mean, I think we just saw it with words, but I'm sure, sooner rather than later, we'll see players. A player will go for 150 million. A player will go for some stupidly ridiculous, outrageous thing that people will lose their shit about. But I mean, it's just how we're going. Inflation and shit like that. So it's going to be part of it. Will Man United play open football get slapped tomorrow? No, we should not play open football. We should play exactly the way we played against City. We should not play open football. They are further ahead than us. Okay, their manager has been there for 6 years now. They are a better, well-oiled machine than we are. We need to let them play their football. We should not try to go toe-to-toe for them. We should not try to outplay them in the way that they play. We need to play, in my opinion, how we played against City. And then we need to execute that as good as possible. I think that's the best option for tomorrow. I don't think we should try and play some scintillating crazy football where we try to dominate the game. I think if we tried to dominate the game in terms of possession, if we tried to control the game, I think it'll backfire on us. I think we have an advantage in that they will have possession. I think we have an advantage in that they will push up, they will probably leave space open, and we can counterattack. You're saying Arsenal, they will hammer us 3-1 Arsenal. What kind of Manchester United fan are you? What kind of United fan are you? You're saying we're going to lose. Maybe I'm reading it wrong. Are you saying if we play Arsenal, if we play open, Arsenal win 3-1 Manchester United if we play open football? Well, okay, fair enough then. All right, I get what you're saying now. I understand. All right, my bad. I think you're right. We should not play open football. And that's basically what I've been saying the whole show. We can't play open football. If we try to play open football, we will absolutely lose. We are a counterattack team. You can't win the UCL with that, but it's okay for now. You can't, but yeah, I mean, that's the point, Dax, of kind of what I've been trying to say the whole time, is that like we don't have the players. We're not actually that good enough to do what we need to do, which is why we need to continue to build. We need to continue to, buy new players and improve and get certain levels, certain qualities, and stuff like that. But we're in where we are, and we have to do what we got to do. So, we're going to the Emirates. Okay, this is not the match where you decide that you're gonna try and be like some prime Barcelona shit or something like that. You're not gonna try and be, you're not gonna try and beat Arsenal at their own game. Don't do it. I think it's stupid. Okay, I don't think we necessarily have the players to do that. I do think that Carrick does play a way where we will play some sort of possession. It'll be a hybrid attacking possession, but this is not the match to do that. I think he will have opportunities to do that, but this is not the match to do it. We are playing the league leaders, and we are away from home. It's not the match to do it. Okay, when we go play some other team, go ahead. You know, we're home at Old Trafford. We're playing, you know, Fulham or some shit, or Everton or something. Go ahead. Try it out. Try and do it. Let's see if we can do it. Maybe it works well with Carrick's instructions, Carrick's tactics, Carrick's understanding and explanation of the game. Maybe the players understand it. Maybe they are able to do it to a certain level. But, yeah, I mean, when you look at us and you look at them and how they have been consistent over a 6-year period under the same manager, we are not in the same boat. So we need to adjust accordingly for this match. Pessimists, optimists are saying 2-2. Well, it could be a draw. Could be a draw. But I say, ultimately, I say, fucking, you know, just bring it. Let's just see. I mean, for me, I just feel like we got nothing to lose. Fuck it, you know. We got nothing to lose. All right. It's always going to be a tough match. So, you know, bring it on. I want the challenge. I want these matches. I want to play big matches. I want to see what our team can give us. You know, so do it. You know, go to the Emirates, rock up, and play some football and do your job. Ultimately. Mid-compact block. Yes, mid-compact block. That's exactly what we need to do. So, it's exactly what we need to do. Hold the compact mid-block and force wide circulation. And then cut that shit out when they put it wide. And we need to explode forward as well. Through Bruno, into runners, Mbeumo, Ahmad, Dorgu. Listen, I think there's a good opportunity because Arsenal are going to play football. Yeah, they're not going to sit back. Again, I think our biggest problem is when we play teams that play anti-football. I think that's where, though that's a different type of test, but I think that's been sort of our biggest hurdle that we haven't been able to figure out, overcome. So I do think that, you know, while we're away, while maybe, you know, they've been more consistent in terms of, you know, they're on a 6-year project right now under the same manager, and they're more of a well-oiled machine than us. We do have some advantages. I think it is an advantage that they're going to control the game. I think it is an advantage that they're going to push up high. I think it's an advantage that they're going to allow space. We love that shit. We love space. We love having space. We love being able to counterattack. We flourish. We thrive. We've always have. And we continue to do so. So I think it's a big advantage. We just have to make sure that we take our chances when we get that. We just need to make sure that we execute. Okay, we can't be toothless. We can't be soft. We can't be complacent in those things, because that's how we'll lose as well. You know, I think we will have chances, but we got to take the chances ultimately. I think it's set up for us to get chances, but we're gonna have to take it. We can't be flubbing chances. We can't be, you know, we can't be sitting there picking up the ball, and you got maybe Mbeumo running through the center, and he's 1v1 with whoever's back there, and he's got a ton of space, and he's made the right run on the right angle, and you fucking, you know, you give the shittest pass possible. That pass has to be on point. That pass has to be timed correctly. You got to give him the best opportunity. And then he needs to do his job in, you know, getting to the box, beating the defender. You know, just using him as example. And then ultimately putting the ball into the back of the net. I want Carrick to win, then win, and win again, because I'm sick of the crew saying we should go straight for Conte, Enrique, and Ancelotti. Well, yeah. Listen, I don't. It doesn't even matter to me. I just anybody that's here, I just want them to do good because I want my team to do good. I don't really give a shit. So you know, I want Carrick. I don't care if Carrick wins every single game for the rest of the season. Like, good, good. He should. I don't want Carrick to have a shit time. You know what I mean? And it's not even because of the implications of anything of like that. It's just that he's here. I want our club to do well. And so I want him to do well. I want the players to do well, even if there's some of them that I would maybe replace them or maybe upgrade on them, or maybe I don't think that they're good enough. I still hope that they do well. I don't, you know, I don't, I, they need to. They need to. Am I still hung up on Marine? No. No. Somebody mentioned it, and I will talk about it. I'm not going to shy away from anything. What I'm hung up on, again, because I don't know how to make this as clear as I possibly can, but I try to every time, and people don't seem to either believe me or understand, or maybe I'm not explaining it well enough, but it was never about that guy. It was always about the process of the football club. It was always about the running of the football club. It was always about the direction of the football club. It was always about making the right choices and handling the situations properly for the football club to go succeed. So Ruben is gone. I don't care. I don't have to talk about Ruben ever again. But they burnt the bridge because I think they handled the whole fucking thing poorly. And I don't trust them anymore. So, and I've lost confidence in them. So, and now I will hold the opposing view in that everything that they do, I will be negative and bad towards it until they prove me wrong. And that's their own doing. So, that's their own doing. That's their own doing. My bad for the camera shake, by the way. This desk, I don't know, I tend to hit the desk. I got the camera here. I trust they will do shit. Probably. I mean, at this rate, the way they've gone about it, more likely so than not, yeah. But I mean, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see what they do. We'll see what they do. Let me see. There hasn't been like a lot of stuff that's come out today, which I found quite interesting. But yeah, we did the Baleba one, but there was also another one that it was about Elliot Anderson. And they said it is no secret in the corridors of Carrington and at Old Trafford that Elliot Anderson is the top midfield target for Manchester United this summer. Manchester City are also huge admirers of the player. Well, let's get Champions League. If you want him, pray for Champions League because it'll give us the best option, you know? It gives us the best option. It'll give us the best option. Not the best option, the best chance of getting him. So, some of these aggregators. We got an update from Fabrizio 12 minutes ago saying Manchester United have again been offered the chance to sign Wilfred Ndidi, but at the moment they are not proceeding. Yeah, I mean, no. I mean, if you're gonna do something, again, like I've said, do something with fucking significance. You know what I mean? Ndidi is literally a Gallo, okay? Ndidi is literally fucking Wild Course, all right? And we should not be doing that level. That's not something to be proud of. That's not something to push to the fans and say, look, we gave you something. No. You can fuck off with that, okay? There's two levels. I will not accept that, and I will not accept nothing. So there's only one option. Do something of some sort of significance. You don't do that, that's a L. You know? That's a L. It's a L. If and it's a big win, if we win tomorrow, will you be excited? I'm already excited. I'm not excited. I'm not excited. I just don't trust. I just don't trust Ineos. So I'm a bit split. I know it sounds a bit confusing. I'm a bit confused in how I explain it. I I don't necessarily, it's not like I have anything against Carrick. I don't even, I wouldn't even go as far to say as like, I don't think Carrick could do a good job. I back Michael Carrick. I think he's a smart guy. I've been saying it for time now on this channel. The play is a little bit questionable, but they still have opportunities to prove, their worth. And every match is a new opportunity. But where I don't have excitement is the leadership in the people steering the ship, essentially. I don't have excitement for them. And a win tomorrow isn't going to change that because they're still the same people. And they've still handled many situations poorly. So the only way that they bring that back about is if I start to see them actually do the things that I think are the correct things, handling the situations at the club the proper way and making the right calls and actually getting shit right. So, the next one will be like, for right now, again, like for me, in my opinion, I've been saying that I think it's a disgrace that you don't do anything in January. To me, that's another big fat L because that's just Glazers. Okay. That's just Glazonomics. And you were supposed, they were pushed to us as it's going to be different, as they're going to change things. And I don't see it that way, really. I mean, they've changed things, but I think it's all sort of a ploy. I think it's like, it's a bit half-assed. It's to pretend like they're doing some major shit, but it's to string people along so they could get their stadium. Now, if they want to prove me wrong on that, go ahead, because if they do, that means that we'll probably be fucking great and we'll actually win. You know what I mean? So I don't care. I don't care about being wrong, but I think the way they handled the whole situation, from Ten Hag to Amorim, not sacking Ten Hag, then sacking Ten Hag, bringing in Ruben, misreading or misjudging that situation of what that was going to be, not following through with it, sacking him ultimately because he said bad things about you and it wasn't about results and it was, I think the whole thing is shit. So until I see, like, for me, January, which they've already failed because I said exactly what they did. They hid behind the sacking of a manager. They give you out mixed signals. They tell you, oh, we can't really do it. Nobody can go in and out because we don't know who the manager is going to be, and Carrick's just an interim, so we can't make any like final decisions. Then they come out 2 weeks later and they tell you, oh, you know what? We've given Carrick some leeway. If he wants somebody, we'll go and get him somebody, sort of as a short-term target. It's like, okay, now you're putting it to Carrick. Now you're putting it on Carrick when it's your responsibility. All right, and then. We're getting linked to people like Ndidi, and that's shit. Okay, that's not good. That's not serious. That's not a big football club thing to do. And they're still doing Glazer 2.0. They did it to Ruben by letting go Rashford and Anthony in January and getting him in Dorgu when we needed a Dorgu anyway. Dorgu coming in had nothing to do with Rashford and Anthony going. They should have got another player. Okay? And nobody has left us, but we all want Champions League. There's a good opportunity to go get it, and I make the argument that we should be sort of cementing we should be cementing our chances, our probability a little bit stronger with an actually some sort of significant signing. But they've left it late to the window on purpose. And if they do something, it'll be a day or two before the window closes so that they can do what the Glazers have always done and say, listen, it was very tough, but here, we gave you something. It's kind of a pile of shit, but it's better than nothing. And, we would have liked to do more, but the window's closed, so there's nothing we can do. And then they get away with not spending money in January because they want to operate it like a business. And then ultimately, what comes out of this as well is what decision they make later on with whatever manager they decide to go. and get. You know, if they keep Carrick, if they go and hire a new guy, whatever happens with that. Well, what happens? You know, how does that transfer window go? How does the summer transfer window go? What appointment are you making? How is the squad looking? And if it's positive and it actually works out, well, then I'll be excited from their standpoint a little bit more. But until then, I can't be excited about that shit. I can't be excited about that shit. So I'm excited. You know, I enjoy my team. I enjoy watching my team always. I mean, not always. We got to play good. But what I'm saying is, like, I try to separate those things. Okay, so it's not like I'm not excited. I'm excited for the match tomorrow. It's a big match. I hope we go out and we play phenomenal. I'll be the first one celebrating. You know, I was watching the City match. I wasn't on camera, but we scored the goal, and I was losing my shit in my house. You know, it wasn't like I wasn't excited. It's not like I'm asking for them to lose or anything. I've never asked for any manager to lose. I don't want any fucking manager to lose. I don't want us to lose ever. Even if I feel like it's shit. You know, even if we are shit, even if we're playing like shit, even if I think the manager ain't good and he should be sacked, I still want him to fucking win. I don't want to watch us lose. How long have we been live for? I don't know where we are, because I do have some things I got. Where's my stream? Hour 30, okay. We'll carry on for a little bit more. Yeah, the Ndidi news is over here. Patrick Dorgu saying he's been asked something. He said, I like to get in the box. I like to score goals. I like to get assists. I like to help my team defend as well. We need to do everything together. Even if I'm playing as a winger, I will always do the defensive job because I've been a defender before. Well, maybe that works out well for us as well. Sorry. Excuse me. Maybe that works out well for us. You know, he could be a little bit like, I think I said this before, but he could be a little bit like Diallo in a certain aspect. Like, he does seem like he likes, I've always said when he plays wing back, he always would get in a good forward position. He was very good at that. His crossing was quite shit. Okay? To find a ball into the box was a little bit shit, and it was a bit lackluster. But in terms of playing in the back and then, you know, either picking up the ball and making a run down the line or making a run off of the ball and getting into the dangerous position, he was always good at that. Maybe this is absolutely beneficial for us because he can be maybe sort of a winger that, you know, sometimes it's hard to get wingers to do the defensive side of the game, especially like, you know, traditional, I don't know if traditional is the right word, but inside forwards, you know, they don't really want to do the defensive thing. They just sort of want to attack. It's hard to get them to, you know, understand that side of the game. But because he is a defender or has played defender, he could probably balance that left-hand side out like how I see Diallo. You know, Diallo playing in the position, he still does things, whether he's playing right wing back or he's playing right wing itself. He still has that mentality of, I need to track back. I need to go up and down. I need to, you know, it's my responsibility. It's important to the team. I can't be lazy. I can't turn off. I can't just say fuck it and walk back and not be in the position. I need to be back there. And Dorgu will probably have that same mentality because he plays defense, so he won't mind going, you know. In fact, he might enjoy it a bit more because he has a license to go forward a lot more. And so he'll probably be like, yeah, fuck yeah. Like, you know, I get to attack more now. And then, you know, I'll work my ass off to run back and help the team. Sincerely, there are only two good options, Tuchel and Nuggets. Tuchel won't cooperate with our leadership for long. Let's be realistic. Nuggets man is also a control freak, but more flexible. Well, I think if that's the case, though, I don't think we'll end up getting any of them. You know what I mean? This is the thing. I mean, listen, but this is also the thing that I'm saying. They have an option. They have an opportunity to prove us wrong. Because everybody right now, the general consensus in the fan base is these guys want to control everything and they want sort of like a yes man puppet. Okay? And so this is what I'm saying. Like, they have an opportunity to prove everybody wrong. And one of those things would be hiring one of those guys, even a Conte or a Luis Enrique, or even to an extent an Ancelotti. Those type of guys, if you hire them, okay, I think you then have to say, well, you know what? Maybe that shit was untrue or unfair, or it was just wrong. You know, and maybe they're not actually like that. And then obviously you have to see how that situation develops, because again, like, if Will Cox is going to fucking, you know, Tuchel and he's telling him, don't play a 4-2-3, play a 4-2-3-1, well then, you know, it's all for nothing. But that decision to me will be sort of big, because we've talked about this before. There's different levels of managers. If you get like an Areola, if you get like one of these smaller type of guys, I think they're giving us the answer without telling us directly. Like, no, we're running this shit. You know, Will Cox is director of football / manager, and you know, this guy's just a coach. Could still work, maybe. I think a lot of us feel like we don't really like that, and we don't really feel like that is the best recipe for success. But maybe it works. But you know, we would have to see how that goes. Anyway, we are getting linked to a guy named Mohamed Kader. Are interested in Mohamed Kader, Manchester United. In the event of the departure of one of their strikers, it is now up to Kader Mit to choose the direction he wants to give to a career that's just starting out. Don't know anything about him. So, nothing I could really say on that, but okay. He's 18 years old, and I guess he's a striker, so. But again, to me, that's sort of like, okay, cool. You know, it's great. But like 18-year-old, like, I don't think we really need a fucking 18-year-old. We have Cheeto Obi, okay? And we have Sesko, who's young. In fact, I would probably go the opposite route and maybe get like you know, somebody that's like 28 or something, 29. You know, get a little bit of experience. Nothing's going to happen to Sesko. Nothing bad is going to happen to Sesko if you get in a fucking 28-year-old. If anything, I think it'll probably help him. What I do think is that they signed this 18-year-old kid, and everybody gets carried away because they're gonna think that he's some sort of the next fucking golden boy superstar, and then he ends up playing in the under 21s, and we don't fucking see him in the squad, and it's like, well, that didn't really solve any of our problems, did it? That didn't really help us in any sort of thing right now, did it? You know. Stay hydrated. Stay hydrated. Also, I'm eating. Stay full. Apparently the away kit for next season has leaked. Couldn't give two fucks. I mean, it's sad because if this is real, I mean, it looks very nice. I mean, a lot of our shit looks very nice. Like I've said before, I think we have some very nice clothing. Okay, we have some very nice sort of accessories, sunglasses and shit like that, products. But I can't be fucking asked right now. You know, I can't be fucking asked because I'm not gonna give them money, and I'm not gonna buy shit. To ultimately have it and then be embarrassed to have to fucking wear it when we fail. So. It's unfortunate. It looks like a really nice kit. I like the color. It's blue. But this is what I don't like about the aggregators, okay? This is what I don't like about the aggregators, because when they do this, all of them are posting this. And I get it's sort of news, right? I get it's like sort of news that you sort of report because they're getting sort of an exclusive on the kit for next season. But I just feel like when they do things like this, it just makes me feel like the club is like paying the money or some shit to put this out. You know, how did these things leak? It says it's 95% accuracy. I always think that quite clearly, the club has quite clearly put this out for it to leak so they could get feedback from what people think of the kits. And then if the majority like it, they'll put it out as is. If they don't, they'll make tweaks or adjustments to it. And then they'll put out to sell it. And it's like, you know, I'm looking here and it's literally 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 aggregators, all different accounts, have all put out. This is what the Manchester United's 2026-2027 away shirt could look like. Manchester United's leaked possible away shirt for 2026-2027. Manchester United's likely away kit for 26-27 season. United's likely away kit for 26-27 season. Here's the likely away kit for next season. Manchester United's leaked probable away shirt for 2026-27 season. You know, they all say the same shit, and it's like, lads, do you guys not remember that all of you literally just put out a statement in conjunction with the 1958 about 2 fucking weeks ago about a protest? And, you know, at the very least, remember and just be like, yo, this is the new kit, but also nobody buy it. You know, I don't know. I would respect them a little bit more if they're like, this is what the new kit's looking like, but don't buy it, don't give the Glazers money. But they don't do this shit, you know what I mean? And I just feel like they do the Glazers' job for them. Like, whether it's directly or indirectly, whether the club is going to them and having them post this, whether they paid them for this shit, I don't know. Or they're just, you know, they're just not smart enough in that they're not reading into the situation that the club is putting this out so that they can get feedback to sell the kits, which ultimately benefits the Glazers. But I hate when they do that. Because it's just like, to me, when I look at it, to me, it's just, it feels PR. It feels like they are pushing an agenda for the Glazers to make money. You know, it's free. Like, the club might not go to them and tell them, here's the leaked kit, or we'll pay you to promote it. But essentially, they're then doing it for free. Because they're not saying anything. Like, if I was running one of these accounts, maybe it wouldn't be as big. Maybe people wouldn't like it as much. But I would literally be like, the kit has leaked. It's nice. But remember, the Glazers get 100% profit if you buy this kit. And that's what I would put out. Well, whatever. I'm just looking to see if we got anything else to speak about. And by the way, this is how you know there's like momos on the internet, idiots on the internet, okay? Which I think we all know. But I told you yesterday when we did the live that when Manchester United account put up the, the post saying we welcome the official launch of the Old Trafford Regeneration Mayoral Development Corporation, okay? And I told you the tweet I put out in response, all right? And I said, this regeneration is all about greed and money for the vultures' pockets, not for the benefit of the club or the people, but for the benefit of them to make more money and ultimately get their 10 billion valuation, with a picture of Sir Jim and Avram Glazer looking at each other, smiling, and in the middle, it is the Manchester United badge that says, instead of Manchester United, it says Glazers out, Ineos out, green and gold, okay? This has gotten 11,000 views, all right? Bunch of retweets, bunch of likes. But we had 2 idiots, okay, that responded to it. And it's like, there's nobody in the world, does everybody open their mouth before they take the onus to go and research shit, look shit up, do a Google search, go ask the fucking AI something, anything? Because to me, I'm just like, somehow I keep getting surprised that morons open their mouth and they quite clearly don't know what they're talking about, but yet feel confident enough to open their mouth in a way that they sound like they think they know what they're talking about. Okay? I had one person respond back to me from that post who was supposed to be a Manchester United fan and says, I don't know why you are putting Ineos in with the Glazers. They are enabling them, I guess, but that's the only way to get a full sale to get rid of the Glazers. No, you are an idiot. Okay? You are stupid. You don't know what you're talking about. You shouldn't have opened your mouth because you quite clearly don't know what you're saying. And I don't know where you've gotten that belief or that information. I don't know how much of a Manchester United fan you can be if you actually believe that, because that's not fucking true in any capacity, in any way. And then, you know, these guys, like, I had to take time out of my day to, like, because I said, listen, I have two options. I have three options. I can ignore them and not say anything. I can respond back and basically just call them stupid and make fun of them, which I thought about doing. But then I was like, you know what? I was like, maybe I should try and just educate them a little bit. Maybe, just maybe, I'll give them something to think about. Maybe they'll actually go and look into it further and be like, you know, I don't know. I don't know. But I had to tell them. I said, don't be a sheep. Don't be a fool. You know? I said, it's about money. Blah, 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 blah. Okay? And a bunch of other shit. So, and then this guy wanted to respond. And I did my part, all right? Even deleted deleted my comment. Who deleted your comment? Anyway, but what I was saying is, you know, then he responded back to me saying, so what's your solution other than to get rid of the only people who have put money into the club since 2005? We can't be state sponsored. It's just not right. What else is there? And that's when I was like, nah, I'm not answering. I did my part in trying to educate you a little bit, okay? I told you Ineos has done a deal with the Glazers to make money. If the Glazers get their ultimate goal to sell the club for $10 billion, Ineos, specifically Sir Jim, will make a significant profit on his 28% investment. All right? Now you want to come to talk to me about morality and it's not right. I don't really give a fuck, okay? I'm not Mr. Moral. I'm not holier than thou, okay? The world is a very fucked up place, all right? Everybody's shit stinks. I don't care. I don't really care, okay? I don't really care. I'm not here to do that. All right? Save that shit for somebody else that gives a fuck about that stuff. I did not delete your comment. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm literally I don't even know what to I'm literally not even on the screen. Okay? I have my phone here. All right? I have my phone here reading the comments with the live stream. I'm literally not I can't delete it from here, and I'm literally not even on the screen for the stream. So I did absolutely not delete your comment. And then we had another guy, all right, has MUFC, okay, so he's got the MUFC in his name, all right, and he responded to me saying how they are losing money. And this is what I'm saying, like, bro, who and where did you learn that they are losing money? You come to open your mouth and you are so fucking wrong. And you clearly don't understand any of the concepts or anything like that. And this is a problem that we have in the fan base, because there's people out there like this. And they say, oh, they're losing money. Let's go buy the kits. It's fine. The Glazers will be gone soon. They're not losing money. They're not losing money. The club might be losing money per se, but the valuation goes up. They're not losing money. You know, people don't understand the situation. And I have to respond to these people and try and educate them. Then they don't fucking say anything because they know they're wrong. They know they're stupid. Okay? This guy said how they're losing money. I gave him a fucking paragraph. And he couldn't even be bothered to answer back. All right? Because I don't know if he read it. And if he did read it, maybe he felt stupid, okay? Because I gave him a lot of information. But this guy, supposed Manchester United fan, okay? Lives in Manchester, England. all right, says, lives in Manchester, England. I can verify it now because of the thing that we have here. Yep. United Kingdom App Store. Account based in the United Kingdom, so, and has been there since 2017. So it's not a bot. And and it's just like these people, you were so misinformed, and then you go around and you think you can say whatever you want, like. Sanchi, thank you for the super chat, my friend. Appreciate it very much. Won't you be happy of Glinios go out even if they sell for 10 billion? Well, technically, yes. I was thinking about this today when I was making that argument. Technically, yes, obviously, because they will leave. But I think if they do that, Sanchi, I think it will be. I think there will be shit from now to then. It's at the detriment of our club, and ultimately, how that story ends is we don't really win. We ultimately lose the whole fucking thing because they will get their money and they're gonna leave us in debt. And as long as they continue to be here, the debt will probably go higher. I don't trust what they're doing with the stadium. I don't know how this funding is gonna go. I wouldn't be surprised if somehow the club ends up with more debt on itself, okay, than what we already have. So I'm not really in the camp of saying just let them get to their 10 billion because there's not even a fucking guarantee. These guys are greedy as fuck. I'm just assuming that they get to 10 billion and say, okay, there's no guarantee. They could get to 10 billion and say, well, now we think it's worth 20. They could get to 10 billion and say, we're staying for another 25 years. I don't trust these people. I don't trust that position. I don't trust it. I don't trust anything about it. There's no actual guarantee. I'm hoping, because this is what we're told. This is what we're told, that the Glazers want, 6 billion, 7 billion, 8 billion. They think ultimately the club will be valued at 10. So 10 seems to be this magical number. But how can you trust these guys when they get to 10? They are greedy bastards. There is nothing to stop them from saying when they get to 10 and say, no, we want 15. No, we want 20 now. And then you sit there and you say, all right, we got to wait till 15 and 20. And we get to 15 and 20. And then, who knows? Maybe they're fucking too old and maybe their kids take it over. And they go, well, 30 now. All right? And I think it'll be at the detriment of the club. Because ultimately, with this regeneration shit, all right, it sounds great, and maybe there's some positives for people out there, but money is sort of the root of all evil, and I think we'll lose a bit of soul. I think we'll lose a little bit of class, a little bit of history. I think they'll turn it into sort of a, I think they'll turn it sort of into like a bit of an amusement park, a bit of a, tourist destination. It's not supposed to be a tourist destination. This isn't Six Flags. This is a footballing institution, a club. This is supposed to be a football club. This isn't supposed to be for some people that have money that want to take a fucking trip to go watch a game, who don't know anything about the team or anything like that, and they spend a premium amount of money because they have money. So, I mean, if they get to 10 billion and they fuck off, obviously I'll be happy. But I don't really want to go down that route and find out if they do. Because there's no guarantee. There's no guarantee. Maybe YouTube deleted it. I don't think we have an admin in here. There's no, as far as I know, unless they're watching and they're not talking, they're not in here. Well, Axe wants a fan ownership model, yeah? I don't I don't per se say that we need to have a fan ownership model. I just want them out, and I want somebody to buy the club that's willing to make it great again. I want somebody that comes in. I don't have a problem with the people at Manchester City's sort of in terms of the idea. Okay, I'm not talking about like 115 charges and all that shit. What I'm saying is, I don't have a problem if somebody has a shit ton of money, okay, and they come in and they say, I want to make this institution great again because I already have a shit ton of money, and the money isn't really a number one objective. You know, the money will be a side objective. Nobody does anything for free in this world, all right? So, but what I'm saying is, if you look at him, he had a shit ton of money. What did he do? Pick up a club that was fucking nothing and turn it into something, okay? That goes on his name. He will be known for creating that institution and making it great. And they continue to operate in that way. So I don't really have a problem if somebody comes in with a shit ton of money and that is their objective. And you do what you're supposed to do. Put the football first, put the greatness back first, make your money on the side. Okay, I'm not like, this is the world we live in. People can be very childish. They know too little about the finances and assets transactions, yet their entitlement is so big. The more you know, the more humble you should become. But the thing is, it's just like, it's people like that it's just like, bro, you can't go and like, the problem I have with it is like, you're questioning somebody that has made a statement and you can't even take the time. Bro, we have fucking AI. Like, it literally, like, if you don't know something, it might not be 100% accurate, but you could literally go to AI and just be like, can you just explain this situation? Why are people saying this? Why are people what is this concept about? What is it? And you literally do a 5-minute reading and you can understand. But they don't even take the time to do that. And then they want to come and like question you or attack you. And it's like, bro, if you're not informed in any slight way, I don't want to fucking hear it. Okay? I don't want to hear it from you. I'm not going to listen to you. We could go back and forth on who's right and who's wrong, whatever. And we can have a conversation. But if you're not informed and you're going to try and question me, and I'm not saying I'm perfect, but like I have at least taken the time to look up details, to read the situation, to look into shit. To try and have a better understanding, to try and know what is going on. And then you have people like this, where you say something and they're just like, ah, they just spit slop, blah. Like, it's just, it's like, part of me just wants to be like, fuck off. But then also part of me is like, well, you know what, maybe we should try and educate them a little bit. To a certain degree, maybe get the gears rolling up in here. Maybe get a little burning passion to go do a little bit of research. Go to Google, bro. Google shit. Do a little bit of reading or something. I don't know. It's pretty touristy already. Well, but that's the thing, Axe, and that's what I'm trying to say. Like, people will make the argument that it is a bit touristy. Okay, but if you think it's touristy now, imagine what it's going to be, what they turn it into. Because premium seating, higher ticket prices, the common person's not going to be able to get in there. They're going to hold concerts there, which, again, if you have people that are not the Glazers, if you have people that are not there solely for the money, you can say, all right, we both sort of get to win, okay? But we do have the Glazers there, and they don't care about any of us. So it's all about them. It's all about their account. It's all about their bank account. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I wouldn't necessarily have a problem that, like, yeah, we're going to have, like, concerts there and stuff like that. That would be good. The club can earn extra money, so that we can then have more money to spend. But I can't say that when we have the Glazers. because it's actually the opposite. It's like we will make more money and we probably won't really see it turn into transfers. We won't really see it in upgrades to, I don't know, the fucking, maybe like Carrington, the training, the gym, some shit like that, whatever. Scouting department, medical department, whatever. We won't see that money. That money will go towards the Glazers. So, and in actuality, it's bad. When it could be good. When it has a potential to be good. When there's a potential to both beneficially benefit both the people and the people that own the club. But that's not the story we live in, right? Because that's not the people that we have. They don't care about anybody else. They only care about themselves. They don't give a fuck about the fans. I don't want them to make money personally. I want them embarrassed and gone. Well, unfortunately, it's not really in our favor right now, Renault, so to be embarrassed and gone. So, But stranger shit has happened and bigger things, crazy shit has happened in life. And, sometimes it looks like somebody is unbeatable. Maybe sort of David and Goliath type shit, So we'll see. Mamuga. Make Man United great again. Like he says, it's United Arab Emirates, so be it people over there looking change culture, modernize life, and happy to do it to care about sports. Who do you trust more, ChatGPT, Perplexity, Google AI, or Grok? Well, I think it depends on what you're trying to... I think it depends what you're trying to look up, or so, but I think it's a bit hard. I think it depends on the topic. I do find that, like, Perplexity and even ChatGPT to a certain extent, I think they're good for certain topics of researching shit, like economics, finances, or whatever. You have to be very, like, sort of pain in the ass. ChatGPT has been pissing me off a little bit because it seems to be getting stupider somehow, with certain things when it should be getting smarter, but it seems to be getting dumber. Grok tends to be very dumb in a lot of different situations. And it has potential, and I think Google is good as well in terms of its Google, but it depends what you're trying to do. I think Google with the imaging, making images, that specifically for Google, that thing is very good. I think it's Banana Pro, very very good. The fact that you can draw, because I tested it on a couple of them, and somebody had like a drawing of an outline, like they wanted like a thumbnail, so they drew it with the marker and shit, and then they gave it to the AI, and they told me make me the thumbnail, and they labeled all the things, and you put it in a lot of the AI, and it doesn't it does it shit, It leaves the labels there. The quality is very low. You put it in Google Banana Pro, and it actually makes you a high quality fucking level thumbnail. And you're like, okay, that's impressive. That's impressive. But yeah, I try not to trust Google too much because they're a bit too big of an entity. And they've had some shit that they've done in the past. For example, like it's a known fact that Google, when you go in the Google search engine, they dumbed it down on purpose so that you spend more time searching for the shit that you're trying to find, so you spend more time on the website, which in turn gets them more money, which I think is anti-beneficial to society. You know what I mean? I think that's a fucked up thing to do. If we're going to make things for humanity, they should be the best possible things that are going to help people and help society, So I don't like that Google did that. I don't trust them a lot, but I mean, they are a massive thing. And listen, they are still smart, right? They are still smart. They're still big machines. So, sadly, they've run the stadium down and the area around it. Anfield has been better maintained. With the new owners, you could possibly do both, renovate the current ground and regenerate the surrounding. They could, but they don't want to. You know why? Because when you build a new stadium, they're going to make more money from it. And that's the point, Lawrence. The point, Lawrence, is all of us and any other normal sort of human being that has some class, some decency about them, some sort of level of a morality, some level of understanding and love for the football club, and isn't a greedy, evil bastard of a person, we would all try to go down that route, and we would probably all make it happen one way or another. But to them, it's just like, new stadium, X amount of money. Do what Lawrence said, X amount of money. Well, this way doesn't work. This way is not good. This way is, doesn't make sense. It's illogical. It's, not really possible, So we got to go for this one. Yes, you are right. Not to mention the gentrification. The middle class is disappearing. Only the rich will have access to those kinds of things, unfortunately. And, listen, the only way you fucking survive that is go make more money, man. We're not gonna stop it. Okay? We're not stopping it. And I sort of see it, unfortunately, in a sad way. You're either gonna make more money and survive, or you're gonna be fucked, The world is moving in a way. It's not fucking standing still for nobody. And we're not really finding success in changing the direction. So you either keep up with it or pretty much get buried, unfortunately. I know that sounds quite dark, but I think you have to do what you got to do. I think in society today, the way you win is to stay alive. You need to stay alive. You need to do whatever you can to stay alive. And the machine will try and bury you. And it's going to bury people. Unfortunately. I use Perplexity and DeepSeek. I don't use DeepSeek, but I know people that use DeepSeek. I've never used DeepSeek, but I think Perplexity is very good. Like, if you want academic papers, research, and shit like that, I think Perplexity is very good with that. Especially the pro version, it searches quite well. So, Grok is the funniest. No, Grok is funny. Okay, Grok is funny. Grok is like entertaining, but if you need like some serious shit, because I've used Grok, I have Grok, I have ChatGPT, I have Perplexity, I have a bunch of them. Okay, I even have Gemini Pro. But like sometimes like ChatGPT pisses me off, so then I go to Grok and I ask it the same thing to see if it gives me sort of the structure that I want, and then Grok sometimes is like just really fucking stupid, and it's just like, that's not what I want, that's not what I'm asking. Like, it's just like, what kind of fucking answer are you giving me? Okay. But what I like Grok for is, like, if I need to search up a topic that's sort of trending on the internet, that's trending in like Twitter or some shit, that much it's very good at, because it can access obviously all of Twitter, and it could go through all the shit, and then it can give you, whatever you need to know about. And it's more of a direct link. So it's a competition we have already lost. Others have billions already, and we struggle for nothing. If we change the system, all the people will win. Yeah, but we're not changing the system, are we? We're not changing the system. This has been going on for hundreds of years. Thousands. Well, we've only been around for a couple thousand anyway, so it's been going on for quite a long time. We're not changing it, are we? And if you want to change it, you still need to stay alive, right? So ultimately, if you want to change it, you need to stay alive. If you let the system bury you, well, you ain't going to be around to change it, are you? So you need to stay alive. That's what I'm trying to say. You stay alive. Bro, the whole world is turning into a rollerball. You haven't seen it. Watch it. Elites will control the sport and write narratives. They're already doing that. And AI is making everything worse, by the way. Because, bro, some of the shit that I'm seeing that people are making with AI, and luckily enough, I'm pretty good trained with the eye, that I see shit and I can tell right away. I'm like, that's AI. That's not real. Even though it looks fucking real. You know what I mean? It looks. Listen, there's some people out there that are creating some things that are like, they're like, it's like Hollywood level production type shit. Okay? And that's only going to get worse. And we have no control over this. Okay? The people in charge of all the countries in all the worlds have no plan to do anything about that. And we're literally going to end up in a place where we literally won't know what's real. We literally won't know if, like, the president of the United States or fucking Russia or whatever, we won't know if it's actually real or not. We'll see them at the podium making a statement, and we'll have no clue if it's real. It'll be dead 100%. There's no way to tell. So it's really bad. Yeah, as an American, Axe, I'm not really about anything from the Chinese, so you know, I don't even use TikTok, even though we've taken that over now. But I don't even use TikTok. Not my thing. Not my thing. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna pop, Axe, because they put all the money in it. They put all the money in it, and there's a reason why they put all the money in it. I don't think they'll allow it to pop. In fact, I think it's going to double probably in the next few years. Triple, quadruple. That's what they're setting it all up for. Gotta go, guys. Good show, bro. See you later. Yeah, I mean, I gotta go too, because I actually need to get, like, I'm going to the movies. So, going to watch Avatar, the new Avatar movie. So, I do gotta get ready and shit, because I gotta leave very, very soon. So, it was a good show. Thank you, everybody. Prediction for tomorrow. I don't know. I want to say 2-1 United. I think there will be goals. And I think if we're going to win, if I say we're going to win, it won't be a 1-0. Yeah? Maybe 2-1, maybe 3-2. I'm hoping for like an entertaining match. And I'm going to back my team to win. I'm never going to say that we're going to lose. You know, at the very least, if we don't win, hopefully a draw, you know? I could live with a draw. But I'm feeling quite up for it. And I hope the lads are up for it as well. And I hope Carrick gets the call right. And I hope the players go out there and execute as well. And just bring that level that they bring against City. I hope they bring it against Arsenal. And we'll see. So 2-1 and 3-2. I think there will be goals. I think this one's going to be quite different than to ones that we've witnessed in previous. So, we will obviously, again, just to remind everybody again, we will be live after the match, as most of you know by now. But, so as soon as the match is over, you know, give me 10, 15 minutes just to finalize the stream, with the title, the thumbnail, you know. It's a bit of a pain in the ass. Like, sometimes, like, listen, I try to do it quick, okay? I try to do it quick. I try to do, like, as fast of a reaction as I possibly can. All right? But, dude, like, to find proper images, make it look good, you know, think of, like, a nice title and a nice headline. Shars comes in. Shars says 5-1 Arsenal. Are you a Manchester United fan? There's no way you could be a United fan and say Arsenal 5-1. There's no way you could be a United fan and say 5-1 to Arsenal. Lucky says he will invest properly. No half jobs with me. That's it, brother. Lauren says, I haven't seen a good film for a while. I hear the new 28 Days Later is decent. I heard good things about that too, but is that like a part 2? Is that like a continuation, or is it a remake of the one that they made before? Because I didn't watch whatever it was. I didn't watch whether it was the first one or the original. I never watched that one, but I've been hearing good things about that movie, so I was like thinking about watching it one day. Lucky says 2-2 Arsenal United. He's going for a draw, Lucky. You putting a tenner on that? So about using mid block for defense behind the ball. We need the mid block, absolutely. So we will see. We will see. But yeah. Thank you to everybody that smashed the like button. Shout out for the super chats. I think they mostly came from Sanchi, or I think they all came from Sanchi. So shout out for the super chats. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you all for your support. We got 16 likes. Absolutely smashed it once again. I'm loving it. Very good conversations today as well. We had a little bit of some off-topic things, which I didn't mind. It's Saturday and there's not much to talk about, but very good from the chat. Very good from all the community and all the members. Lawrence says it's a continuation with the painted guy character, the famous British actor. Okay, so then I got to go watch the first one. Yeah, so. I will do that probably at some point when I have a little bit of nothing to do, or maybe when I'm bored. I'll watch the first one and then I'll watch the second one, and we'll see. Everybody say goodbye to Humpty Slot. He won't be coming back until hopefully another time. So Humpty Slot will be leaving us. And my father wanted me to take Carrick Jesus off, okay, because he's old school religious, and he said that it's not right that I did that because you don't put Carrick as Jesus. But I will make the promise that I will say, if we win tomorrow, I will say God is okay with this. Okay? I will say Jesus is okay with this. He doesn't have a problem. All right? If we lose, I'll take it away. All right? He was fired on the spot. Who was fired on the spot? So we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. I think that's my answer. I think if if there's a problem with that, we'll lose tomorrow, and then I'll remove it. Okay, I won't bring it back. But if we win, he gets to stay. If we win, all right. That's my ultimatum. That's my ultimatum. Aside from the divine, that's what I'm saying. Because then, like, listen, then you got Carrick. He's coming here. He's performing miracles. You know what I mean? He comes in. He beats City. He comes in. He beats Arsenal. I'm not saying. I'm not trying to do things I'm not trying to do things in vain in the name of God or anything like that. A little bit of a laugh, Carrick is Masonic. I assume Slot fired tonight. I don't know. Maybe he will be. I mean, I think it would be crazy if Slot gets sacked before Thomas Frank. I mean, but I was poking all the Spurs fans, yeah, because Fabrizio makes posts and I go to comment on it because every different type of a football fan follows Fabrizio. So he put up something about Thomas Frank, and I was like, bro, Thomas Frank needs to stay because Spurs are Spursy, and he has the Spursy aura. So I was like, it's not his fault. Look where they finished last season, okay, in the Premier League. And they got a new manager, and they're just like basically still around the same area, and like maybe they should just realize that they're shit. I don't know. You have two different managers, and you're still basically in about the same position. Maybe you shouldn't be pissed at the manager. Maybe you should be pissed that your team is shit. But what do I know? What do I know? Does your father know that we have a red devil on the crest? Yes, he does. He does. He does. I mean, it's sort of a good point, but yeah. I mean, I kind of feel that a way about it as well. Okay, but listen, I don't know. Like we're not worshiping the devil. You know what I mean? But sometimes I did think about that. I'm like, well, we all named the Red Devils. I mean, I named the show the Red Devil Experience. And sometimes I feel like I don't know if that was the best idea I've ever had. But at the same time, it's a sports team. You know what I mean? It's a sports team. And we're not doing, I'm not trying to be sacrilegious or anything like that, but it is what it is. It is what it is. So, Okay, listen. But I'm getting out of here. Enough of this shit. Okay? Enough of me rambling and babbling. All right? Everybody enjoy the rest of your Saturdays. Be good. Hopefully, when we see each other tomorrow, we'll all be celebrating 3 points, another win, and we'll be giving it to the Gooners. Okay? And best expect, listen, if we do win, okay? Just expect ultimate level of trolling, expect ultimate level of shit talking. If we win this match tomorrow, I will be going hard as fuck. Okay? Not to say that if we don't win, it won't be a good show, but just know that I'm bringing it to another level if we win, okay? So be prepared. All right? Glory, glory, Manchester United. As Lawrence has said, everybody take care, be good, stay safe. Thank you for your support. Love you guys. Appreciate every single one of you. And